He sat in his car that night, engine off, phone silent, staring at the message that ended it all. You deserve better. She was already gone, maybe not just physically, but long before she hit send. For the first time, he didn't feel anger. He felt clarity. Every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every moment he tried to prove his worth. It all collapsed into one realization. The game was never about love. It was about control, validation, and ego. That night, something in him broke. But something greater was born. He didn't swear off women. He swore off illusions. He saw how the world trained men to chase affection like slaves, chasing freedom that never comes. And in that silence, he understood a truth most men never do. That peace doesn't begin with being loved. It begins the moment you stop begging for it. This isn't a story of heartbreak. It's a story of awakening. And if you are ready to see what most men refuse to see, then stay till the end. Number 1, the emotional economy. When love became a transaction. Once upon a time, love was about connection, the silent understanding between two souls who grew stronger together. Today, it's an economy. Every gesture, every word, every gift has been turned into currency in an emotional marketplace where men are expected to give endlessly but receive little in return. Modern dating has become a zero-sum game of expectations. Men are told to be sensitive yet strong, vulnerable yet dominant, rich but humble. An impossible contradiction. In this twisted dance, women are often positioned as the prize to be won, while men must prove their worth through effort, money, and emotional labor. The result? Men are tired, not of women, but of being measured. The emotional economy rewards appearances over depth. Social media teaches women that attention equals value, while men are conditioned to compete for that attention like bidders at an auction. A man who opens his heart risks being dismissed as weak. A man who withholds is labeled cold or toxic. Either way, he loses. What's worse, the modern narrative often glorifies female independence while ridiculing male vulnerability. Society celebrates the strong, independent woman, but mocks the man who steps away from the dating market to protect his peace. The irony is sharp. When women set boundaries, it's empowerment. When men do, it's avoidance. The deeper truth is that men have realized something revolutionary: that love should not be a negotiation of value. They are beginning to understand that their worth isn't determined by how much they can give to please someone else. For the first time, they're reclaiming emotional sovereignty. Instead of chasing approval, many men now choose self-respect. They invest in themselves, their purpose, their fitness, their peace of mind. They've discovered that fulfillment doesn't require validation from a romantic partner, and in that independence, there's freedom. Not the loneliness society warns them about, but a calm strength that comes from no longer needing to prove their value in a rigged system. This is not bitterness, it's clarity. When a man stops pouring his energy into relationships that drain him, he's not withdrawing from love, he's redefining it. He's learning that true connection cannot exist where respect is one-sided or conditional. He's learning to walk away, not because he doesn't care, but because he finally does. For himself. Number 2, love as a power game, not a connection. Dating today isn't about love anymore. It's about leverage. What used to be a dance of attraction has turned into a chessboard of manipulation. Modern relationships are no longer built on curiosity or mutual discovery, but on tactics, control, and the endless question: who has the upper hand? Social media has transformed romance into performance. Every post, every story, every filtered photo is a silent declaration of dominance. I can get better than you. Women are coached to never chase, to keep men guessing, to test their commitment by withholding affection. Men, on the other hand, are told to prove themselves worthy, to chase harder, to spend more, to text first and risk rejection. The result is not intimacy, it's exhaustion. The dating market thrives on scarcity and illusion. Apps like Tinder or Bumble have reduced human beings to profiles, swipes, numbers, and algorithms. A man is no longer a person with dreams and depth. He's a digital card, competing for attention in a never-ending marketplace. Women, flooded with validation, often play the role of gatekeepers, deciding who's good enough to be seen. The dynamic breeds arrogance on one side and quiet resentment on the other. But beneath this power struggle lies fear. Fear of vulnerability. Both genders are terrified of being the one who cares more. Everyone is playing a game they secretly hate, but can't stop, because modern dating rewards those who care less. The less you feel, the more you win. That's the unspoken rule. And so, men withdraw, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. They've realized that genuine connection cannot grow in an environment poisoned by ego and games. You can't build love where both parties are calculating their next move like generals at war. Men are waking up to a brutal truth. In today's dating scene, emotions are liabilities. The more you invest, the more you're exploited. Modern romance doesn't reward honesty, it rewards strategy. It's no longer about finding someone to share peace with, but someone who won't destroy yours. In rejecting this game, men aren't quitting love, they're protecting its essence. They're saying, if love must be played like war, I'd rather stay free. And in that refusal lies a quiet rebellion, a return to authenticity in a world addicted to manipulation. True intimacy begins when both sides drop the masks. But until the game ends, men are choosing to step outside the board, to reclaim their time, energy, and sanity from a system that mistakes deception for romance. Number 3, the unfair system. When men realize the game is rigged, every man, at some point, wakes up to a brutal realization. The system isn't fair. He was taught that if he works hard, stays loyal, and treats women with respect, he'll earn love. But in the modern world, that formula doesn't work anymore. The rules have changed, and they changed without warning. The dating landscape, the legal system, even the social narrative, all tilt subtly but decisively against men. A man risks everything by stepping into commitment, while a woman risks almost nothing. In marriage, a single wrong choice can destroy his life. Divorce courts that favor mothers by default, alimony that drains him for years, and social judgment that paints him as the villain, even when he's the victim. The slogan, "Happy wife, happy life," sounds harmless until you realize it really means sacrifice your peace to keep her satisfied. Society romanticizes women's struggles while mocking men's pain. When a woman cries, the world comforts her. When a man breaks down, he's told to man up. The system demands stoicism from men, but punishes them for emotional distance. It's a trap, one that leaves men voiceless, guilty for merely existing in their own exhaustion. The irony? Men built the very world that now turns against them. They built the roads, the skyscrapers, the digital empires. But when they seek understanding or compassion, they're met with suspicion and disdain. A man who expresses frustration with dating is labeled bitter or misogynistic, while a woman who complains about men is called empowered. Modern men are not withdrawing because they hate women. They're withdrawing because they finally see the scales. They see how society rewards female failure with empathy and punishes male failure with shame. They've learned that in the courtroom of modern love, the verdict is already written, and they're guilty by default. So they walk away, quietly, strategically, and with their dignity intact. They no longer play a game where the rules shift every time they start winning. They invest their energy where it counts, in themselves, their peace, and their freedom. Because no man wants to be the hero in a story where the ending is already scripted against him. This isn't cynicism. It's realism. Men are simply responding to the environment that modern culture created. An environment where accountability is selective and sacrifice is expected only from one side. And in stepping out of that system, men are not retreating. They're reclaiming control. They're redefining success on their own terms, where peace matters more than approval, and fairness begins with saying no to an unfair game. Number 4. The rise of freedom and independent happiness. Once, a man's worth was measured by his ability to provide, to protect, to build, to sacrifice. His happiness was a secondary concern, something to be earned after he had fulfilled everyone else's needs. But today, that illusion is collapsing. Men are realizing they don't need to buy peace with pain, nor chase love that comes with conditions. For the first time in generations, they are choosing themselves, and they're happier for it. This awakening isn't born from bitterness, but from clarity. The modern man has seen enough to know that the pursuit of approval is endless and unrewarding. He understands that true peace doesn't come from validation, but from autonomy. The quiet satisfaction of being self-contained, ungoverned by someone else's emotional weather. He no longer confuses loneliness with solitude. In solitude, he finds strength. In silence, he finds focus. He learns that his time and attention are currencies more valuable than money, and he refuses to waste them on people who only seek to drain him. His happiness is no longer outsourced to romance. It's homegrown, cultivated through discipline, purpose, and self-respect. This shift terrifies society, especially those who once benefited from his dependence. A man who doesn't crave approval cannot be controlled. A man content alone cannot be manipulated with affection. And a man who defines his own peace is immune to emotional blackmail. That's why independent men are often labeled cold, selfish, or commitment phobic, because they've stopped playing roles written for them. He's not rejecting love, he's refining it. He knows that love should complement, not complete. He understands that partnership without peace is just captivity with a smile. The modern man's rebellion is simple, yet powerful. He chooses himself first, not out of ego, but out of wisdom. Because a man who owns his own happiness is the only one capable of sharing it freely. He travels, builds, lifts, learns, creates, not to impress, but to expand. His joy is no longer conditional. It's a byproduct of living authentically. He may walk alone, but he walks tall, free from the invisible chains of expectation. And in that freedom, something beautiful happens. He stops asking, "Who will make me happy?" and starts asking, "What kind of man do I want to become?" That question changes everything, because when men seek meaning instead of approval, the world no longer defines them. They define themselves. Number 5. The awakening. When men see through emotional games. For centuries, men have been told that women are the mystery of life. Delicate, emotional creatures who must be understood, protected, and adored. But today, the veil is lifting. Men are no longer hypnotized by charm, tears, or manipulation disguised as affection. They are beginning to see what truly lies beneath the surface. The emotional strategies, the tests, the games of control that have long defined modern relationships. A woman's greatest power has never been physical. It's psychological. The ability to make a man doubt himself, to keep him chasing her approval, to bind him emotionally without commitment. She does not need to control his body if she can control his mind. And for years she did, using silence as punishment, attention as a reward, and affection as currency. But men are learning the language of these games. They've begun to recognize the emotional traps, the guilt tactics, the "if you loved me, you would" conversations, the tears that appear when logic fails. They've realized that not every display of emotion is genuine. Sometimes it's a weapon, polished through years of social conditioning. This awakening isn't hatred, it's awareness. Men are not turning cold, they are turning conscious. They're understanding that compassion doesn't mean submission, and empathy doesn't require surrender. They're reclaiming their emotional sovereignty, the right to feel without being manipulated, to love without being enslaved. Women once held the upper hand by mastering the art of emotional chaos. But when a man learns to master his own emotions, he becomes untouchable. The moment he stops reacting, the spell breaks. Her control dissolves because it was never physical. It depended entirely on his emotional response. Modern men are becoming psychologically literate. They read intentions, not words. They observe actions, not promises. They understand that real love cannot exist in manipulation's shadow. It must stand in the light of mutual respect. So they detach. Not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. They no longer seek drama disguised as passion or tests disguised as love. They've learned that walking away is sometimes the highest form of respect for both parties. And in this quiet awakening, a new kind of man is born. Calm, grounded, immune to manipulation. He doesn't chase illusions or beg for peace. He is the peace. And in that stillness, he finally becomes what every man was meant to be: free, untamed, and unbreakable. At some point, every man faces a choice: keep chasing what drains him, or walk away and rebuild himself. The real victory isn't in winning love. It's in mastering detachment, in knowing that peace is more valuable than validation. When a man no longer needs to be chosen, he becomes unstoppable. That's when he truly lives, not as someone's provider, savior, or fool, but as his own source of strength. If this message speaks to you, if you felt that quiet awakening inside, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Talk about it. Challenge the lies that keep men broken. Leave a comment, like this video, and subscribe to the channel. The world doesn't need more obedient men. It needs aware men. Men who think, who rise, and who finally choose themselves.